This video is going to be much different from my usual content, and that's because I feel like I owe it to you all, my audience, to explain why I haven't been posting and what the future of the channel holds. I went back and forth for a while on if I was ever going to make a video like this, but I figured I'd rather do it in the event this is the last video on my channel. I want to start out with saying when I created this channel and throughout its lifespan, the goal was really simple. I just had a sincere desire to help others improve at the game. I started out being a bronze level player and struggled my way through the game. But as I put the time in, learned the nuances of it all, and improved to one of the highest levels, I felt like it would be cool to show others what it takes to improve. Even if reaching Masters or Predator wasn't your goal, no one really likes to die over and over without getting some form of satisfaction from this game, which comes from succeeding, whether that's winning a match, getting more kills, learning a new legend, etc. It's been over 2 months since I've posted content here, and the main reason for that is my interest in the game, and the general audience's interest in the game as well. As most know, the game has been in a rough spot recently. Player counts low, sentiments low, and sure, this isn't new. The game has always sort of ebbed and flowed, and I think that's the nature of video games, especially live service games like Apex. And I also don't think it's unfair to say that the longer a game is around, generally the less interested players become in the game. But recently, particularly over the last year, the game has significantly changed, for me. To just address a few things. First would be ranked, and it has been so inconsistent with the direction it seemed it's wanted to go in. And this also isn't a recent thing, but it's finally been like, okay, enough is enough. In the previous earlier seasons, ranked was one of the most appealing aspects to Apex. And I not only enjoyed playing it, but I enjoyed teaching people about what I thought was the best strategies to improve and climb the ranks. Over the last year, and maybe even 2 years, this has heavily declined. And with how ranked has been treated over the last couple years, we often go full seasons where ranked clearly is in a bad spot, and then it just doesn't get changed. People complain, nothing happens, or very minimal changes occur, and then the cycle just seems to repeat. And after that happens several times in a row, it's just disappointing to engage with it. But even with the ranked mode having flaws, I can't ignore the massive problem that has plagued ranked and the game as a whole. Cheaters. Apex and any live service game seems to have cheaters, especially on PC. But in the first few years of the game, in my experience, cheaters were not as rampant. And the cheats were far more obvious, which I feel like resulted in them being banned way sooner. Like, you would know when you died to a cheater because they would hit 7 out of 8 headshots, and they were playing as Pathfinder with the base skin and a level 12 account. But now it can be incredibly difficult to spot a cheater. And with some of the research that has come out, it makes me and many others suspicious of so many more players. Because while yeah, there are still those aimbotters, far more people have these low-key cheats. Like, they will play on controller, they'll already be a good controller player, but then they'll play with wall hacks. And that right there is far more difficult to detect, and basically worse than a new account with aimbot, because the wall hacker isn't going to get banned as quickly. On top of that, if that cheater is playing with 2 friends and communicating with them, they just instantly made the whole squad benefit from the cheats. And boom, you have an unstoppable team in the highest elo of ranked that generally no one has ever heard of before and is wiping the whole lobby. And I really hate to be that guy that is suspicious of people cheating all the time. Like, when you see a streamer do it, and maybe they're right 8 out of 10 times on detecting one, but that 1 or 2 times where they die to someone and the player's just actually skilled, we all know the person accusing looks like a fool. And I used to always give people the benefit of the doubt, but honestly, over the last few seasons, that suspicion is at an all-time high when it comes to who is cheating, especially in ranked. But I don't want to turn this whole video into it being about cheaters, because I feel like most of us know the deal with them to some extent or another. And it's not like this is breaking news, but what it is a breaking point for many. We all hope the problem would subside over time, but instead, it seems to have just gotten worse. And I also don't just want to sit here from the sidelines and pretend like it's some easy problem to fix. From my understanding, it's like whack-a-mole. Solve one exploit and 2 more pop up. And there's also a ton of complexity with this topic that I'm not even going to attempt to dive into. But the reality is that most consumers don't care about why a problem is so hard to solve for a company. They want the solution to the problem from the company that can provide it. And if the consumer doesn't get it, in most cases, they aren't going to continue to use the product or service. It's just how business works. Now, one of the other aspects that has deteriorated my interest in the game is all of the different kinds of ways the game has tried to instill more forms of monetization. Now, before some people interpret this the wrong way, obviously Apex has to figure out ways to make money. It's a free-to-play game after all, and historically, it hasn't been a pay-to-win game, which has been awesome. I know some people will say certain weapon skins are better or you don't start the game with all the legends unlocked, but both of those features do not put a player at a significant or even a meaningful disadvantage over someone else. So it's not the concept of Apex's monetization system, it's just how they do it. Hundreds of recolors, universal heirlooms, confusing collection events that require gambling for items. I could go on. And the truth is that Apex has never had a perfect monetization system. But when the game is popular, folks tend to care less about how they're marketing, what they're selling, or what they are even selling. But when the sentiment around the game is low, players highlight the monetization system and point out its flaws. Because whether right or wrong, the perception around Apex shifts to them only caring about how to monetize the game, as opposed to fixing whatever may be wrong with the game or improving the quality of life around the game. There's also been the very recent event of the way they're trying to split up the battle pass and reformulate it. It's obviously a very unpopular opinion, but I'm not going to sit here and say that the battle pass is my breaking point, because it really isn't. I understand the outrage against it, and I'm not sitting here defending the battle pass. But for me, the game just has far bigger problems than how they're going to market the battle pass. And all of this is a shame, because the game is truly one of the best games in the world when it comes to the mechanics and just how it all flows. I think that's the main reason why so many people still play it, despite its issues. The gameplay loop is still so enticing, but there's no other game besides maybe Titanfall where you can get the dose of this seamless movement, engaging gunplay, and just so much more. Now, the goal of this video is not to complain about the current state of the game, however unappealing it might be right now. As a content creator, when the game is in a decline, that generally means the creator's business is also in a decline. And I'm not naive to the fact that one day this game will in fact die. It still may have players for years to come, but the general interest in the game will eventually become so negligible that it won't make sense to create content about it full time. And if you're still watching at this point, then you know my kind of content is not to make a video every week speculating on what's to come next month or to provide leaks about the upcoming season. I focused on actual changes that occurred in the game and how to get better at the game for all skill levels. The longer the game has been around and the more prevalent cheats are, the less people care about meta changes or the best strategies to improve. Here's a good analogy. If you're playing basketball and you could just pay $5 to have the skill to score on any player at any time you wanted, how important would the basketball coach be? Exactly. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate that every player is interested in cheating, but what I am saying is for the players who play the game the right way, the playing field isn't level. So as a result, they're losing motivation to even play the game because no matter what they do, they're always going to fall short against somebody who paid money to get cheats. Now, I could still ride out the Apex wave and continue to cover many things that I haven't yet. It's not like I've run out of ideas completely, or covering different ways to teach new techniques wouldn't be possible. It's just that right now, I don't have the same passion for it. And to me, it seems like the remaining Apex audience is just far more concerned with what may be coming next week or the week after, whether that's a collection event or a potential leak that a creator may know, or maybe it's even the drama around Apex or some of the players in it. And for me, I'm just not interested in any of that. So while I have been working on another channel in a totally different niche, I still may come back to Apex and make some videos when the new season comes out. It'll really just depend on what changes come in the next season. But if you don't see any new content from me during next season, then you can safely assume MangosInTrees has retired from Apex. And if that's the case, I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who has supported the channel over the course of the last several years. Whether you watched every vid, you only ever saw one video, you liked, you subscribed, you got coaching, you commented, whatever it was, thank you. And I truly mean that. A content creator's job doesn't exist without their audience, and you all helped make this channel into what it was. And if it is the end, I'll still leave all the videos up, so if you want to check out anything, it'll still be on the channel, and most of the information will still apply with some minimal differences depending on the video. And if you feel like you need to unsubscribe or you want to unsubscribe, obviously go for it. Once again, thank you guys, and thanks for watching. Peace.